Hello, everybody. It's good to be back. I know there's been some bit of a pause there. I guess we were taking vacation, but I'm Tom Hoyer, and my partner John Bell is here. Hello, John.
Hey there, how's everyone doing?
He's full of enthusiasm to jump right back into this today, ladies and gentlemen. So why don't we just go ahead and do that very thing? We've got a few topics, and I'm going to open it up with Graham Platner. If you've ever heard us talk before, or you've seen any of our posts, you know we support Graham Platner. Um, Seems like a straight shooter. He says the right things. I like his policies and all of his interviews. He's basically what he refers to himself as a New Deal Democrat, and I think that is exactly what I have in mind as well. As we find ourselves in the early stages of the 21st century, you know, we're going to have challenges ahead of us, things such as AI, globalization, that are going to dramatically shift the way we are going to have to address these growing problems, specifically income inequality. The advent of AI is only going to worsen that. And it doesn't seem like our political parties are seriously addressing that right now. That's for a few reasons. Among those, just essentially their hands are tied. Two, many of them are elderly. They're stuck in their old ways. They can't see it's working for them, and the job is too good. They don't want to rock the boat, right? You don't want to shake things up. So, when he began appearing in our social media feeds, we became aware of him. You know, he began saying things that were really resonating with me. And of course, what comes along with that is someone who's got a little bit of a history. I want to, what we knew before this last New York Times interview, or not an interview, I should say. It's basically an expose. And, the things such as the Nazi tattoo, the Reddit post, things of this nature. I want to say that, we should all take into consideration what this guy was doing right before that. He was a combat Marine. And when you're a combat Marine, that means basically you're going right into the teeth of the gunfire, right into the muzzle. I mean, you have to have a certain mindset, and it's gung ho exponentially. You can't be a nice guy. You have to change to do that kind of thing. All right. Now, I'm not excusing, because, of course, not everybody who's in the military ends up doing those things, of course. But then again, we all react to the stresses and pressure in different ways. And, I really have a problem with the people that point that self-righteous finger as if they've never done anything awful in their lives, just so that they can make themselves better, so they can't deal with themselves honestly. At any rate, I don't think that he's a Nazi, nor do I think he's a white nationalist. I don't think anybody really does. So
Not at all, and I don't think there's any credibility to any of those things. Actually, I mean the Nazi tattoo is, the explanation that he was young, he had no idea what it meant at the time. It was a cool, sick looking, tattoo that I would expect a Marine to have,
right,
or some Marine, not, like it would. And as to when he knew it, the only person that's made that allegation, and that was the allegation that was part of the Whisper campaign, however many months ago, when the tattoo thing first came up, and the question about when he knew it. Well, now we know the source, which is uh, a woman who dated him, who's a conservative operative, like literally operative, in the sense that I'm not suggesting that she does anything illegal, but that like her profession is the hardball of politics.
correct.
And
Heritage,
so,
Heritage Foundation.
yeah. And so, and and also she admitted, like, beyond those two circumstances, there was no additional physicality. Like he did not strike her, and she admitted to that. And so I don't, you know, I don't agree with the Democratic. Well, first of all, like there's a calculation here about power, and that's just. And I'm not excusing, like, you know, certainly if I knew Graham Platner to be, you know, a violent person in his interpersonal relationships, then, you know, yeah, I think that's I mean, it's either disqualifying or, you know, the full circumstances and sort of like public adjudication of that would be required. But I don't think we're to that point. And I see, you know, if I could draw a parallel to former Senator Al Franken in terms of how the Democrats just crucified him without, I mean, frankly, there was a lot of questions surrounding most of the claims, and the one where he was taking a picture with a colleague, you know, pretending to be fondling her, was part of a gag. And even she, you know, she was even connected to like high, you know, conservative operative circles as well. And he didn't run away from that one. I mean, like I at this point I feel that Al Franken was unduly pressured to step aside. It was the example of Me Too going too far, and without full examination of, like, you know, because and I'm not excusing any of these people. Like if the evidence is there of misdeeds, I have no mercy. I'm not making you know, apologies, but in my estimation, Al Franken was unfairly treated. I think that Graham Platner has taken accountability for the pieces and explained those pieces that you went through, Tom, which I thought was a great setup. I mean, and as for Democratic politicians, I'll name some of them. Madeline Dean. I don't know why we want to hear from you, like, you know, especially like so definitively, because, excuse me, any Democratic politician that has made the statement, what are they saying? I find this to be disqualified. Well, all right. Are you endorsing Susan Collins? Is that what would you like to just simply state what you're doing right now, which is you're saying I'd rather have Susan Collins than a Democrat?
Right.
Yeah. You know, and there's also another one. I'm spacing on his name right now, but he is a congressman up in the Northeast who came out and said the same. He happens to have like extremely sort of strong is an understatement. He has like a lot of money coming to him from Israel related PACs. And Graham Plattner's been very, very clear on the issue of what's happening in Palestine and the tragedy there. It is a genocide. It is an ethnic cleansing, and Israel is an apartheid, semi-authoritarian and semi-fascist state. Like, you know, there we go. And ours and the subject matter here on the reset is definitely, you know, centered around that. So yeah, I think that for all those reasons, and I think honestly, I mean, flaws and all, Platner may be. Let's see. He's got to go through the primary and get through that, and then he's got to win the general. But if he wins the general, he's a generational political talent, and the Democrats should not so casually throw that away. And damn it, man, like, I'm speaking of generational Democratic talent, I was just listening to yet another interview with Zoran Mamdani, and it is such a shame that he was born outside the country, because this guy should be the Democratic candidate for president in 2028.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
in another lifetime, but like he's just so, I mean, just even only on a style basis, but the guy is so good. He has so much charisma,
Yeah.
personalities. He's got the riz. He's but I mean, like, and that's not to say that like it's not a slick politician, because he's coming across as that charming while talking about all of the real issues in a very personal, practical way. But he's just really an uncommon political talent, for sure. And
yeah, he really is.
We need somebody like that.
And he's the type of person that inspires other people to basically enter politics that wouldn't otherwise do so. And we're definitely going to need that. We certainly need a wave of youth into the Congress. And it's certainly,
I think we're seeing that.
People with new ideas. This is not Chuck Schumer's world anymore. He's sunsetting. He's sunsetting, and he needs to understand that the people like Mamdani and what his ideas are for his generation, the people that have to live here another 40 plus years. They're not for you, dude. So get the hell out of the way. God, I hope AOC primaries him. That is something I would love to see.
I mean, I'll be, if she doesn't run for president, and even, I don't know, I think that she's coming for that seat, unless she decides to run for president. And but I mean, I'm not sure who the one person on the left who's going to emerge. I mean, AOC certainly has a lot of talent, in a lot of important ways. She does face the fact that she's been vilified and demonized on a lot of, both by establishment, so-called centrist Democrats, but certainly she's been the boogie woman, for the right. And not that that's not disqualifying. I'm just saying that, in a certain way, she's been sitting in that spot where Hillary Clinton sat. So like my sister, I shouldn't call people out. I won't, but there's someone I know.
Too late.
Yeah. I made the suggestion that AOC would, possibly run for president, and I got a big, she's so crazy. And I'm like, what makes you say that? And I realize, understand what media people are watching,
correct,
et cetera. But she's not some. Honestly, she's toned it down quite a bit. I mean, I don't think anything that if you want to say anything that she believes in is radical, then, sorry. But I mean, for the most part, it's it's what political leadership and stewardship should look like. That's what we need to get to, which is, how do we take care of the fucking environment? How do we deal with, we've got a huge, and maybe we need to think about transitioning here, Tom, but just to think about the values that we're talking about in these segments are really basic and underpinning to democracy. And I think one of the key things is dealing with corruption. And I think she's been clear about that. And she's an extremely skilled communicator. So I think whatever she decides to do, she'll do it with purpose, and she'll give, everything that she can. And that I think that she, along with Platner and some of these other candidates, it seems Al-Said is surging in Michigan. I think you're seeing a lot of, I don't want to just call it progressive, but like, the good form of populism, economic populism, and the idea that no matter what, we need to favor the working and the middle class. We need to have a strong, like super strong. We need to have, and with AI, we're going to need it to invest even more in a social safety net and thinking about human driven decision making first, like what's best for freaking humanity and for the average person. And that's a simple theme. And but unfortunately, that's like, because we're in a class war here. Let's be honest. That's what's happening. We're going to have to take our power back. And that's, again, another point to why would we cede a Senate seat in Michigan when that's, it's do or die time right now.
It really is, especially considering, what we know about the 2030 census and the migration.
Yeah. I think these pro-democratic protestations are incredibly self-serving. They're made with the wrong type of political calculus, the bad kind, where you're just, trying to generate a headline for yourself or position yourself in a certain way. This is about power, number one, and also the good form of power, which is like, I tell you what, if you strip out this personal stuff, you can look at Graham's platform, where he stands, and he has a ton. I mean, like issue by issue. I'm not saying like it's every single issue out there, because there's hundreds or thousands, but his platform is pretty darn specific. I think you end up knowing exactly where he stands, and it's not for huge corporations. It's not for billionaires, and it's not for a corrupt political system.
That's right. Unless you're addressing the very pains that we're feeling out here right now, what are you talking about? I would say that to any Republican. What are your talking points? What has Trump done? What one thing has he improved since he's been in office? If he would have gone into hibernation, we would be in a better place. He's completely junked the place. And there's really no way to defend it. It's indefensible. You do not have a cogent argument to come back and tell us other than TDS or fake media. That's the only thing. Or what aboutism? What about what Biden did? Even though that just sounds so hollow, considering how far we into Trump's term. But
it's pathetic, and it's like it's the opposite in truth of like what they're trying to project in terms of manlyhood and machismo. Like they are the most pathetic needle dick little, I mean that's the reaction. It's like, and it's like so blatant and but also pathetic, like to see them overcompensating for being scared little twisted neo-Nazi boys. It's a whole, and many books will be written. So what do we got next, Tom?
So speaking of the fake news that they tend to just kind of use dismissively to any kind of factual presentation, objective truth presentation, the White House, the whitehouse.gov website now has a page that's dedicated to target media that it feels is, well, fake, corrupt. What's the word they use? Something, it's something unpatriotic, right? But they've got people on there like CBS's Nora O'Donnell, and she is, the interview that she had with him where he basically just steps in it when he says, talking about the guy that tried to do the press corps assassination in his manifesto, saying that we can't put up with the pedos. And remember that one, everybody? And he basically stepped right into it. I'm not a pedo. And she's like, oh, do you think he was referring to you? Well,
Right.
They basically have these clips and they have their, their rebuttal, and it sounds like ninth grade lit, calling her, a wretched,
Oh,
washed up, things that, using words like wretched, weak, washed up reporter. It's written for children. It's written for a children's fantasy storybook. I mean, it's so pathetic. And people, if you're digging that, you're not smart. Okay. You don't have a high level of intellect. No one can read this and think, yeah, man, we got them on that. Okay. You should probably stop thinking, because it's not working out for you. Just go back to where you came from, and please be quiet and let the adults run the situation here. So, they are coming after independent media. I was made aware of this by Dave Packman. He's got excellent social media, but that's what we're trying to do here. And certainly you have your choice of independent media on all the social media platforms. John and I want to be just regular guys that haven't spent years and years in politics, to just have lived experience. And we want to basically come at it from an economic slant, from a political slant, what we see, what we've experienced. And that's why we're here. And we appreciate you subscribing to us. We're on other platforms such as now Facebook, TikTok. We're on a Substack at eattheoligarchy.com. And we now have a website, thereset.online. So please visit that. It's a resource or a quick connect to any of these agencies, organizations, your state representative, your federal representative. So good website. There's more to come. We're going to be adding to that. Take a look. And again, we'll divert this. I'll let John talk a little bit about that particular, his experience with the whitehouse.gov website.
Yeah, so I think, it's a topic that's kind of buzzing from my perspective, in terms of, both people starting to pay attention to it, but also, you mentioned David Packman, also Brian Tyler Cohen, who's, both those two are, if we, end up at that level, we'd be incredibly thankful. They're two very
great. They've earned
large. It. Both are high quality. I especially like Brian. I mean, they're literally listed by name on this website. And while it's not clear at this point that they've actually officially opened an FBI investigation, it's also insinuated heavily. So that's implied. It's made in the same threatening manner that Tom was referring to. And those are the first two, I mean, like major independent media creators, very successful, that are literally being targeted by name by this administration, which is, I mean, like we're dealing with all, complete and utter violation of the First Amendment in totality, because not only do these two have individual First Amendment rights to express their opinion, and this is, this is not groundbreaking news. This is hundreds of years of legal precedent. This is like where we are today. Speech is relatively free in the United States, pretty damn free. And unless you're like making an explicit threat, and that even has to meet a certain bar. Like you can't just like sort of suggest that someone could die and that would be wonderful. Well, that's protected speech.
Correct.
At that level, just to give you an idea. I'm not suggesting that you go start saying that on social media, but like, okay, so these guys are expressing their political opinion all the time. Neither one of them ever that I'm aware of, and I'm just like knowing these guys, like this, they're not promoting violence. That's not their ideology. That's not in their belief system. I've never heard any of them suggest that. They're looking at the president, the regime, the political landscape through their lens, which is all of our right, and they're making recommendations, they're interviewing people, they're talking, whatever, all covered under the First Amendment as an individual. And then when you classify them as a news organization, there are additional constitutional protections that layer in there in terms of, a long history of precedent there. And so, and this is a threat to us. I mean, like they are finally turning their attention because they realize the importance of independent media, because it's growing at a very rapid clip, and things are transitioning away from traditional media. So
That's
they're,
right.
This is just the next step in their program of. I mean, it is authoritarian. Let's face it. It is an attempted takeover
100%.
of the media. Whether you're chilling it, whether you're forcing corporate platforms to to cut people out from an algorithmic standpoint and just silence them, which is actually, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's an observation that David Pakman's made about YouTube. And because these guys know their metrics, they know how many views their video, like they're more practiced, and they're bigger, and they have a much larger sample set than Tom and I do right now. And I can tell you, they know, based off of 6-7 years of doing this, they know their stuff, like what something overall should do on a given platform. And so, there's just a lot of, this is big. This isn't just like, oh, I'm so sorry for David and Brian getting their names put up on this website. I mean, this is the federal government threatening them. And at a bare minimum, it has a chilling effect, or it's intended to have a chilling effect. But it is lawless. This alone, I mean, I know we could come up with 100 reasons already in 18 months or so why Trump should be impeached. This would be definitely at the very top of or it has to be at the top of the list, if we're either going to try to impeach him at some point or just, deal with his crimes after the fact. And I'm sorry, we shouldn't even validate any kind of illegal, anti-constitutional presidential pardon on himself and his cohorts. So, I mean, this is shit. This is also right now the fight for democracy, which is why we're both pitching you to, give us a like and check out our resources that we're creating for you, and the media content. But it's also literally, there's going to be more names added to the list. And they're going to try to suppress people. You've got consolidation in media with the Ellisons trying to turn, pretty much all of the legacy media and some on. I mean, let's not forget they're major investors now and owners of TikTok USA.
That's right.
There's questions about what's happening there if they actually complete this merger with Time Warner Discovery. They're just and this is right out of the authoritarian playbook. And it's like now you're taking Fox and all of that, and you add that to the Ellisons, and you're talking about a massive swath of the media landscape across many platforms.
Yeah, and it's, independent media is going to continue to grow in importance and in popularity. It's very sad to see any kind of press briefing at the White House where you've got, legacy media reporters who have worked their entire careers to get that spot, right? And it's evident because they don't press them. They don't ask any pointed questions. They just basically toss meatballs across home plate. And the response he gives is complete and totally whatever he thinks of at that moment. It's just made up, right? Totally made up. And there's no point in watching it, really.
I don't.
they're so desperately
I don't.
scared of being escorted out and never to return.
I won't watch anything like, and most of the, I mean, I do watch some broadcast news, or I listen to it. I don't watch it. I mean, there's no point. And most of what I listen to, they don't bother with his full press conferences, and I get clips, of, the major thing. I mean, in my just a general impression from what I get fed in my algorithms, is really Caitlin Collins.
She gets under his skin.
Well, she more than most of them does her job.
Right. Yeah, she does. Too. And because she's attractive, it bothers him. She never smiles, he says.
All women bother him that want. I mean, yes, like if you're a black woman, he fucking hates you.
Oh yeah,
because he's the racist.
That's low IQ is code for black people, specifically women, when he uses the low IQ.
Oh, that's totally a racist. I mean, he uses it on black men too.
He rarely uses that for anybody but someone who's black, right?
So agreed, and perhaps almost exclusively. So that's very clear, and I think that I mean, I'm sorry, like if you sort of lope along on four legs and you have a big square jaw and you eat, carrion in Africa and you hang out with other animals that look just like you're a fucking hyena. You're a hyena, I mean, like, so to look at, what this movement, cult, not going to call them a political party, but this abominable group of people that they, because like at this point, you can't say, well, I don't like Trump's style, but I like his policies, and like what, right. Like, okay, like I think we're clear right now on what's happening, and we have, what they're gunning for. If you want to get into political science kind of terms, but it is a, white Christian nationalist, authoritarian theocracy is what is being not just conceived of. This is what's being implemented.
Exactly.
So, like, again, just a little plug for Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, but go watch it. Like, really, go watch it. And that is,
you can see how quickly we could descend into this. I mean, there, if we were ever to kind of cross that bridge, go off that cliff, if you will, then, it's a free fall from that point. Yeah,
again,
it's a free fall, and there's no coming back.
Yeah, because I point to, I'm sorry to keep harping on this, but I point back to the damn Platner race in Maine. Again, people, think about what's at stake, and don't listen to the Democrats who are also bought off by corporations and the billionaires. And the special interests that are not aligned with this nation's values, and there's a lot of those additional ones as well, pumping money into this political system. So don't listen to those Democrats that are going to at all pretend as though we're going to go just right back to some regular order of what? Like this, we've been in a decades-long spin into the problem that we're in now.
Correct.
And the answer is not being centrist or moderate.
Correct.
The answer, and I'm not, again, it's don't think just left versus right. This is about how we rebuild or reconstitute a system that doesn't fall into the same traps, doesn't continue to drive the same inequities as the last, go around and learn from history, learn from what we're going through right this second, and build a robust new rule of law that brings us to a better point than we've ever been before, because we've just been dragged backwards 150 years in a lot of ways, or we're being, they're trying to get us to go there. Let's not go there. So, these are the issues at stake for each of these. And unfortunately, the assault that they're making on the rule of law and democracy and just basic universal human principle, and raping our economy, our country, people's taking their rights away. I mean, they're doing it bit by bit, but this is a big part of the program, because if they can control the narrative, then they can hold power. And I'm just going to make this statement right here. I think it's pretty freaking obvious. If we don't win the midterms, folks, in massive fashion, if we don't take both houses, again, people are like, well, we can stop most of their bullshit if we take the House. Maybe, but also you're losing the what if another Democratic justice dies?
Yeah.
Then they just,
there's talk of Alito retiring.
There's talk of it. Hopefully he's too narcissistic and arrogant, which I think is a decent bet. That I think he may try to cling to the seat, and I hope he does. And then I hope he meets his ignominious end. But I mean, this is such a huge part of the power grab, and is coming at the part of the Constitution that may be more fundamental than anything else in terms of the progress that we did manage to build on over decades and centuries to, protect minorities, ensure their right to vote and representation, and the same for women. I mean, you had women's suffrage. I mean, you had a lot of key points along the way that turned this into, to use a trite phrase at this point, but a more perfect union. I mean, so we're in the fight. I guess if we end up on that list ourselves, then we've probably smashed our subscriber projections, and there's a good side. But joking aside, they're going to make the list a lot longer, and they're basically saying these people are enemies of the state, and we're going to mess with their lives, sue them, whatever. Who knows what's coming next if we allow these people to keep in power. But back to the midterms in the Senate, what I was trying to talk about.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about
that's appointments, that's power, that's a huge a Democratic controlled Senate can essentially ensure that the president can get almost nothing done, and in certain cases might even be have a veto overridden, versus a continued packing of not just the Supreme Court, but the federal courts, all the courts, all the appointments that he can make with a prostrate, excuse me. They may also be the prostate of the Republican Party, but so but these this rebuilding of the government itself, there's a huge amount at stake for both of them, and we have to win both. We can't accept anything less. I mean, will be a disaster. And so this is for all the marbles. I feel that if somehow they manage to, they're not going to win the midterms, but if they manage to cheat, which there's just, again, Tom and I could go through 50 different things that they're trying to do, and you're probably getting that on your other social media and content. But this is a fight for everything. They are in the process of doing absolutely everything that they could do to cheat. So, and I think that kind of transitions to
so. Yeah. So what our goal is going to be is going to be able to take both chambers. And of course, they are frantically trying to do everything they can. A lot of the stuff that we know about is in the kind of mainstream press, and that would include the SAVE Act, which doesn't look like it's necessarily going anywhere. But that gets a lot of attention. But what you don't know what's going on in the courts. For example, this month, Supreme Court here, or basically make a decision they've already heard. Watson versus RNC, which, to boil it down, is nothing more than just disallowing any ballot count after the first Tuesday, after the first Monday in November. Basically, the day after elections. Doesn't matter if you received a mail-in ballot that is postmarked prior to election day, all counting stops. Now, and they're even willing to sacrifice any kind of Republican vote that comes in. They're fine with just disfranchising their voters. By the way, Republicans, that means your vote doesn't count to them.
Right.
They just think that by pulling this lever, they're going to catch with their net enough Democrats, because Democrats have, over the past few elections, increasingly voted by mail, that's going to basically work in their favor. Now, according to Mark Elias of Democracy Docket, who is front and center on the front line with these types of cases, he doesn't think that this is going to pass, although it's not enough so that he can relax. He does feel nervous over it. So it's something we should keep an eye on. It all just goes to this point
I put nothing past the Supreme Court.
He is deeply unpopular. He doesn't think he can win an election. So he's cheating any way he can. I do have pre-2016, about 25% thought that there was some element of voter fraud in elections. And now up to this point, it's 40 to 50%. And people, that's by design. Okay? That is by design. Despite the fact you have to have cognitive dissonance if you go into this thing thinking that in 2020, when Trump was in control, we somehow stole this thing under his nose. And then when Biden is in control, where we had control, is somehow we let Trump get elected. That just doesn't make sense. Okay? Shut up. There is no voter fraud.
But Tom, they've made their own false accusation come true. Now there is voter fraud. They're doing
now it's happening.
Yeah, now it's accurate. Now the 40 to 50% who believe it, like it should be more, because they are trying to rig this election.
Systematic fraud.
Right. And the Republicans have been pushing this completely false narrative up to this point. It's been false, but they've been doing this for years, many years. Probably a little less blatantly, but the narrative has been there to undermine what used to be the envy of the world, right. And as the most secure and free and fair elections out there, and that has been to the benefit of our democracy for sure. And it's also the underpinnings of a stable and prosperous democracy and societies, and an open society, and where we have the freedoms of speech, we have freedom of religion, we have all these, what are considered to be inalienable rights, right? And those are all under attack, because just in pursuit of their rapacious need for power, domination, and don't forget the money. A lot of it's about the money and the grift and the graft, and they're basically running this administration like a mafia family, and that's what it's not. I'm not saying this like it's an accident. Trump grew up
by design. Yeah.
Admiring the mafia and admiring their power. That was his first, like Donald Trump didn't know that there was a world outside the United States probably for most of his childhood, other than like maybe like living as a privileged child of a of a racist dad who got caught drunk at a Nazi rally and arrested, and he, along with Donald, got sanctioned by the government in the 70s for racial discrimination in their housing business. I mean, he's just a lifelong racist. That he was begat by racists. He is a racist, and this is the project. This is the project. Project 2025 is to turn this country into a hellscape that at the end is going to threaten all of us. So, and the Supreme Court, unfortunately, is one of the biggest culprits here. They are undermining, and like almost all of these cases, all of these cases, in fact, they're overturning precedent, but not just precedent. They're overturning decades, and in some cases, more than 100 years of precedent in the service. I mean, there was no question 10 years ago, if you take in a case of the Supreme Court, and essentially in a very, simplistic, distilled way, the argument was, hey, we're going to overturn 75 years of precedent. We're going to interfere with, the constitutional sort of self-determination rights that states have to determine the manner, place, time, and et cetera of their elections. And not only that, we're going to make these changes, these radical changes. Let's be clear, radical changes to disenfranchise Black and brown people across the South. And we're going to do it even after the elections have started. Ballots have been sent out. We're going to let you cancel these elections, and we're going to let you go, start with voter suppression and oppression, like on steroids. This is like welcome to Jim Crow 3.0. This is like or post Reconstruction. This is the attempt to take massive amounts of self-determination and power away from our Black and brown brothers and sisters and everybody else in between. And honestly, that demographic is a fundamental core ingredient, like a foundational ingredient in the liberal democratic movement. I say liberal like democracy, like the rights, the basic rights that we're talking about that usually, in the past, Democrats and Republicans agreed on. Right. We all agreed, like the freedom of speech. We've both been on that, standing on that hill until, they started lying all the time, and like they're, but anyway, so I mean, and I think that this court, like all of this shows the amount, the fact that they're down with the authoritarian project. I mean, that's, if I haven't been clear before, let me make sure that I'm telling you, they are down with this. And John Roberts has been architecting this on the legal side for a long time.
Right.
He is the villain. He is the super villain.
Yeah.
In this,
he comes across as a moderate, a fair, balanced, and indifferent.
He's not even like that. Is such a
politics. He's not.
Yeah. No, he's the opposite. He's just a lot. I mean, I don't even know that he's that good at like his lying and obfuscation, because he never sold me. He never sold me. And his actions tell the different story. And now he's turned the cord, and like he's also made a joke of it with the emergency docket and the abuse of
Yes.
how they force through these monumental decisions without even hearing
Yep.
a case.
Right.
I mean, they're just wrecking. They're
Yep.
helping to wreck the rule
Right.
of law in this country.
Yep.
They are a lawless court, even though, like, I forget the collegial bullshit. I'm not a Supreme Court justice, and I never will be one, so I don't have to worry. But like, and I think if you listen to the liberal justices in much more tempered ways, they're saying the same thing. The alarm, the call is coming from inside the House. This is a lawless court
Right.
that is ripping the heart out of democracy and doing everything that they can,
Right.
by sleight of hand and worse,
Right.
and frontal assault. They are tearing at the foundations of this republic in the service of their billionaire benefactors.
Yeah.
And they're just they're a bunch of dirty pigs. And we need to understand that that's job number one if we get power back. Like, we can't have this like, oh, we're going to pick this legislative priority and maybe we can squeeze in one or two more. No, you've got like 12. You need to have your.
We're going to have to do two things at once. We're definitely going to have to do.
Well, we're going to have to do 15 things at once, and we're just.
You're going to have to walk and chew gum at the same time.
I think we need to come up with that reality, but I think we also need to be ready with that legislative reform pipeline. Literally, it has to be there on day one, and because, and if you don't deal with this court, they will block everything that you're trying to do, and they'll continue their rampant crusade against all of our fundamental rights. They've I mean, like, how much do you have to act like a white supremacist to be called and recognized as a white supremacist? But look at what they've done, to black and brown people across the board. I mean, affirmative action, destroying the Voting Rights Act, allowing all of this, clearly racist, redistricting chicanery in the South. And so, yeah, I think that's like, I don't have enough contempt for them. And I also just, again, I want to harp on this because like, this is foundational to how people can live their lives and how we can continue to have free and fair elections and a peaceful transfer of power, whoever legitimately wins or loses. But you don't get to dismantle democracy just because you win. That's not how the system was intended. It's not how it's supposed to be set up. And unfortunately, it's vulnerable. But I view this as probably, I know there's like 10 or 15 hair on fire subjects because it's a broad-based war, but this is as important as any of them, I think.
I totally am with you on that, the same page. But listen, we're coming at the top of the hour, and I want to go ahead and wrap this up. I just want to say to everyone, when it comes to voting, please register early. Please vote as early as possible, if not that day, if you can do that. I can't, I can speculate on some of the things that they may try to, if you happen to live in a city, a blue area that could be pivotal. There's just a lot of things you can do other than just having the National Guard surrounding the polling place. You can have ICE blocking roadways, making it difficult. I mean, you're going to sit in traffic for hours, so try, if you're able to mail in vote, maybe doing that as early as possible. This is very critical. It's coming up. I appreciate everybody watching us today. I hope you did enjoy the show. As I said earlier, we've got a website, thereset.online. It's got a link to all our social media platforms where we are, including Substack, TikTok, Facebook. We're even on Threads, I think. So, John, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Appreciate you guys. If you're watching through to the end here, definitely check us out on all of those platforms. Hit us with a like and subscribe. It gives us a lot of help as we're trying to fight the good fight for democracy and for a fair shot for everybody. And thanks again for your support. Take care.
All right. See you next time.